Hello, this is Positive Vibes Enterprise. I am Tom Goodwin. This is Michelle Ronquillo.
Hi, everybody.
And the subject today is connections, disconnections. And that's has a lot to do with the way life tends to be, where you get involved in something, then you have to leave it, and it's in and out, dealing with connecting with one energy, then being taken away from the energy to another energy. So things are always changing, and a lot of times people get attached to the way things are, and things don't stay the same, and they get pulled away from it. And if you have addictive qualities, sometimes that can be very rough on you. But that is life. It's a constant flux.
I think that what really needs to be mentioned is that perception where you were going, your goals, your instincts of what is healthy for you in those times where you are plugged in and then automatically shifted and your life is going a different direction altogether. Keep in mind and focus of the in the now moment of clarity and strength. You really have to depend on your gut intuitions in these types of situations so you do not plug into unhealthy people and situations around you that are going to stop you from growing.
Yeah, a lot of what we wanted to do in this subject had to do with connections and disconnections from people, but I got caught up in the fact that that's almost happened without even people involved with it. You're always
Right.
connecting and disconnecting, that's part of life. Um, we tend to have certain people we're really strongly connected with, and the people that we're really strongly connected with have a real strong effect on us spiritually and where we are at.
Right.
And if we want to, a lot of times when somebody's addicted and they get rid of their addiction, they find they have to change all their friends
Yes.
because that's the only way they can grow. And that has a lot to do with what happens in life, that you have to make sure that the people you're connected with psychically aren't holding you back, that they are healthy for you, that they're not having an unhealthy influence. A lot of times family or whatever that can be abusive or can be unhealthy, and sometimes you have to find your own family. You have to find people that you're not related to biologically, genetically, to be your family because they're healthier for you than your original family.
Yes, correct. And then those are the things that tend to get you connected more with energies and people that give you the healthy, reassuring, and energies that make you who you are, like the wind beneath your wings, sort of to speak, of that awesome way that if they're not family, it's because of the connections of the spiritual, and those are more important and valuable than even what blood can do.
It's so important to have good connections. Um, One of the things that happens is when like you have this high energy and this low energy, you meditate and you go into low energy, and when you get in low energy you tend to get less attached to things, and you tend to be able to
Yes.
clear yourself out. And then when you go to high energy, that's when you tend to get more connected to things around you, and then you can influence and impact them. um,
Yes.
um, there are there are healthy connections, there are unhealthy connections, and you see in life you need to work with other people. You don't do that well alone. You need
Yeah.
teamwork. You need to be able to cooperate with others in order to get things done. Not every people are not so well rounded that they don't need other people to balance them out and provide skills and ability they do not have, so that when they combine as a team, the team is better than can do more than a single person alone can do. So
Right.
it's so important that you have the right connections around you because it works like a team. And if it's a good team, it will direct you towards and it will lead towards helping you towards positive goals and reaching that closer to what was ideal vision for you, or what will work the best for you.
I think too, like the communications, because you know the boundaries and the things that are unhealthy for you spiritually, emotionally. So watch those boundaries and see who is reflecting that energy source that is supporting you, that is behind what you're doing, that gives you that motivation and strength. With the communications and in jobs and in schools and in just social meetings and gatherings, communication is so vital. So you're not assuming what someone else is saying. You're getting the direct vocal of the facts and how they feel on it, and how you feel on it. And those healthy connections allow you to disconnect from the unhealthy ones and be okay with it. Like, just because their uncle or aunt or sister or brother, if it's unhealthy, it doesn't matter. You need to unplug and get that spiritual motivation from people around you that will actually benefit your evolvement.
Um, So the thing with connection and disconnection is that gives, if you're able to do that really well, connect and disconnect really well, you get that kind of self-control, that ability to
Yes.
be turned on and off at will. And that helps you to
Yes.
have more integrity, because what happens is, if you're connected with somebody emotionally and you require it, you have sort of like, you require that connection, you can't disconnect from that connection readily, then you cannot be straightforward and say exactly what you mean, because you're afraid you'll offend the person, and you may create a disconnection, and you're afraid of that disconnection. Whereas if you aren't afraid of that disconnection, then you just say it what it
Yes.
is, and the person's going to have to decide whether they're going to, willing to accept where you're coming from, or they're going to have to lessen their connection with you, or maybe move on. And so you need to have that
Yeah.
kind of a capacity. And then you have to, of course, everything goes two ways. So if somebody else is doing that to you, um, you know, representing real high integrity, and sort of like catching you when it
Yeah.
comes to when you're not living up to what you should be doing, you're willing to not get caught up in your ego and
Swallow the pride.
feel bad about it, but think about it and say, that person has let me know about something that I can work on. Because the thing is, how can you improve unless you know what's wrong with yourself? So
Exactly.
knowing your flaws is very important. So when people point
Yes.
things out to you, you shouldn't go into the real defensive thing. You should tend to look at it and say, well, maybe I could actually become better.
Yeah, that
And
person actually loves me to tell me the truth and not try to sugarcoat anything or lie to me. And you want people to do that once you get in the habit of that raw truth, that raw spiritual, let's grow and evolve together type of attitude. Then you kind of want people to be open with you and tell you things that you can improve on. You're looking for ways to improve, and that is important as well, because you gain strength and uh, build that gut intuition on when to speak out and say how you feel.
people that cling to you can become quite a burden when you're trying to do things, you're trying to get things done, and this person's grabbing onto your shirt and hanging on to you, and needing support, or needing you to, they say, well, I need this, I need that, and they emotionally dependent on you in some
Yeah.
way. That works against you being able to be as effective as you can be, because you sort of like, you have to sort of like break free before you can do anything, before you can really be the most effective. So it's important to have that emotional self
Yes, it
independent,
is.
being self reliant, so that you don't cling to people and hold them back from doing what they really need to do. Because a lot of
Yes.
times people have a tendency that needy people a lot of times will think, um, my needs are so important that this person should drop everything for me.
Right.
And they sometimes don't realize that that person has other things that they're trying to survive. They're trying to make things happen in their world. They
Yeah.
got things of high priority. And you're trying to pull them away from things of high priority for your neediness. And your neediness may be a lot lower priority when it comes to what's really important in this world, what's real value than what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it is. It is a definite bonus when you can have your boundaries and understand the difference between what your energies are versus what other people's energies are, and what their intents are of your energies and your time and your valuable space, because you are that essence that you need to hold yourself in pride and dignity and integrity of the gifts and the wonderful spiritual talents that you have to offer.
And you can take things too far, like you can get really detached. Nothing affects me. I'm totally removed from this
Yeah,
situation.
that's dangerous.
Because the thing is, attachment, it's like commitment. It makes things happen in this world. So being attached or being connected to something that's important and wanting to hang on to it is is a positive thing, provided a rational attachment.
That's it.
And so the idea of being detached, or of course you can feel better when you're detached and you don't have all that pressure, but life is stressful.
Yeah.
Life has pressure, and that
and pain
and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
the people that contribute the most are the people that can handle the most. In other words, removing yourself from the scene completely is it's a valuable ability to have, but you have to have the opposite ability, which is to be able to go right into the middle of the storm and be able to do something while you're in the middle of the
Exactly.
storm to make things better.
And not use it as a numbing device or a tool to shut out really feeling the compassion and the passion and the empathy of spiritual connections is so valuable but so painful. It's bittersweet. It's like you have to be strong to hold on to it and have the perceptions of where someone else is coming from or where you're coming from in a weakened state. And be okay with that vulnerability because you're strong enough to go through it and manifest more beautiful things on the other side of the negativity. But the contrast is, do not disconnect yourself so you can't feel those lessons of empathy and compassion and passion that you need to feel to move on with a better perspective, whole perspective of what you're supposed to get out of it.
And things are pretty complicated spiritually, I keep telling people, even though sometimes they're simple, but a lot of times they're complicated.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when people say, I don't care what anybody thinks about me or feels about me, what I see is I actually do care about how other people feel about me. It doesn't harm me in any way. I care, but I don't care in the sense that it's going to do any damage to me.
Yes.
I care, and then I will pay attention and I'll use it as guidance.
Right.
In other words, when I send out there an energy and people, you're way off, I don't, and they get really aggravated at me, and I'm not going to just say, well, I don't care and I feel just fine. I'm going to think to myself, well, why did that person get so aggravated? There's something I can learn from that. And I can handle the feelings that are projected, because you see, when you're really strong spiritually, you can handle really heavy emotions because emotions power the spiritual. So what happens is you're not trying to get emotionally removed. You're willing to deal with any emotions that go your way. And if somebody sends out strong emotions and they have impact on you, then you say, why did they have impact? Because if they have impact for a reason, in other words, you don't need to cut them off. You can deal with, and then you grow from it. If it challenges you, you grow from it. But it's always, to me, it's always good to be tuned in. In other words, tuning yourself out to feel good spiritually is not what positive vibes is all about, because we're trying to make change in this world. We're trying to make this world a better world. We're not trying to tune ourselves out from what's
Exactly.
happening in this world and all the intense problems and serious situations. Because a lot of times when people get mad or aggravated at you, they have a real story behind their passion. Now, they may not be coming at you with the most rational approach, but there's a reason they're coming at you just the same. So you got to. It's always good to try to figure out what the reason is.
Yeah, definitely. And you need to pay attention to the ones that are unhealthy, the ones that are displacing something that is not for you, that is totally a an excuse or a reason to not go after somebody that they need to, but they're going after you. So it's a displacement of energy and emotion, and it can be very painful. But it's, you got to remember that things that people say and the anger and the negativity that they do, if you're strong enough to not get offended, if you're strong enough to listen through the lines of the winds, so to speak, of their spiritual message, you can take out what you need to take out of to evolve yourself, because it's your reaction that matters most, not the other person. Your reaction that
And a
matters.
lot of times when you're really, when it comes to the spiritual, it's good to be a troubleshooter. And it's good to
Yes.
be able to help people who have problems.
You're
And
seeking.
you can't really, if you don't understand what is unhealthy, you can't move the unhealthy to a healthier direction. And a lot of people, so in other words, you don't necessarily, you don't only want good, healthy people really closely connected with you that you
Yes.
work with. But at the same time, you have to be able to interact with people that have all kinds of
Right.
unhealthy ways of looking at things or habits or whatever, and be able to understand the problem and be able to give them help in overcoming the problem. In other words, we're not trying to just hang around with this wonderful group of people that has no problems, and then how are we going to help the world if you only hang around with the people
Right.
that don't have the problems? And of course, the people that don't have the problems, hopefully you're hanging around people that are constructive and trying to add something of value to the world. And how can they help value to the world unless they're actually involved in dealing with the problems and the people that have problems?
Yeah,
Um,
I think that is a really good point. That sometimes people say, "Man, I don't want to deal with the drama, so I'm gonna just not get involved with a lot of people socially and just keep my little circle, just the small thing." But in in hindsight of this, you got to remember that those inner circle people are the ones that feed your motivation to stretch out and become something else inside the social scene, and try and ebb and flow. You're always going to get some kind of waves when you go out into the social scene and connect to other people. And the more you connect with other people, the more waves that you'll come across. However, it is good to understand that your strength inside of you is what's moving this forward, is what evolving. So you don't take offense of somebody else, but you're looking at it, you're analyzing, you're moving where no ego and that's going to hold you back and judge somebody. You're going to take the spiritual knowledge and the energies of those connections and make the best you can out of each one. As more you gain more connections, the more learning and different points of view you're going to get.
And one of the things when working with people, you can't work with people that are not willing to change, not willing to
Right.
grow.
Great point.
You need that willingness, and that's where um, I'm very much into it, because I'm sort of like been an outsider and I'm used to not being understood. I'm very willing to work with anybody, no matter how intense their problems are, provided they're willing to grow.
Right.
But it doesn't matter how little their problems are. If they're unwilling to grow, I don't want to work with them, because my
Right.
time is valuable. You don't want to waste your time.
You got to know when to jump off the train and move on.
In other words, um, you want to invest in something of value to
Your
make
energy
things
is
happen.
precious,
Yeah.
so
So you can't get caught up in this thing where you just say, well, I'm just going to be giving my energy to everybody, no matter what. It's indiscriminate type of giving. You have to give in a way that you know you're going to get some value in return because you're trying to make a positive difference in this world. So
Exactly.
therefore, you have to evaluate how can I best utilize my energy to get the best result.
And because of that, you're going to have an ebb and flow of people coming in your life, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It is more of as you evolve, the people evolve that you attract, and what are the people that are around you.
Yeah, you just have to. I mean, because whenever anybody disconnects you, you get a vacuum, and that draws the next person, and you don't
There you
grow
go.
if you're locked in to people who are locked in.
Oh, why did that person think this and this? Why did they leave me? So what? You're moving on. There's somebody else to fill that in, and you're ebb and flowing your spiritual talents and strengths with new people that can evolve with you for the betterment of you and them.
I mean, there will be people that are on similar wavelengths that are constantly trying to improve that you can have a long-term connection with. But even long-term connections, which can disappear in a second, something can happen and they can be gone from this world or whatever.
Or they can be
They,
a different person way back then, and then you reconnect with them and they've changed into this totally different person. So that is also, and then those things in those spiritual energies you thought that that person was is no longer there because they've went through some things in their life and they're different, and maybe you don't connect anymore. You connected then, but you don't connect anymore. So you got to be okay with let that go. That's the way life is. People move on, they change, they grow, and you do too. So that obviously logically means in and out, a flow of people in and out throughout your life, and be okay with that and understand that each one carries a valuable lesson for your spiritual learning.
yeah, good people you're connected with can leave for various reasons having to do with what their purpose is. So you cannot absolutely depend on any one person to be in your life continuously.
Yeah.
But I mean, you will have those psychic connections. If somebody dies and you goes up, you still have the psychic connection. But the people present in your life may be totally shuffling all the time, and you have to be able to handle that. It is true that the people that you have the strong bonds with, the bonds will remain if they die or
They
wherever they go, they
stay,
will
yeah.
stay. But when it comes to the people that you're present with, you have to be able to deal with the connect type of energy, because the thing is when somebody dies or goes somewhere else, even though you still have the spiritual connection, you miss the day-to-day connection with you.
Yes.
So you need certain people present in your life, but you can't depend on it being the same people all the time. You have to have that ability to be flexible, not only for the value you give to yourself, but to the value of the other person. You don't want to cling to somebody when they have
Correct.
opportunities elsewhere. People have to be able to do what's best for them. So you have to be able to allow them the freedom, and then they need to allow you the freedom.
Yes, yes. Free will is so strong and is important when people are building like-minded independence and strength. And the radio waves, I say, is like a spiritual radio wave of your essence. Like when you walk in the room, or somebody wants to hear what you have to say and they flock to that information. Those radio waves are stronger or weaker depending on who you are, but you can always build it. And when we have people in our lives, those radio waves kind of like-mindedness flow in and they can catch up together. But if someone lacks in spiritual information and connection, they might lag behind, or understand it and go farther. And those are the types of things that you have to be okay with, and build that pride and confidence in yourself to know that you're on a level of yourself radio waves, your own level, that you can go slow or fast, but the evolvement of connection, you always want to better yourself. You always want to keep it moving in the positive directions of change.
Spiritual ideas um, are circulating. They circulate when people believe in certain things.
Yes.
Um, or is it, a lot of people have a certain mindset. That energy is out there. It's not within the person. It's out there. We tune into it. So a lot that is mental actually is outside of ourselves, and we tune into it. I mean, it's inside of ourselves and outside of ourselves at the same time. It's sort of like a connection. So there are all these connections that are out there, and there's sort of like a collective mindset that gets set up, and there are different mindsets that are set up in this world already, depending on the number of people that believe in it. It circulates, and so when you connect to a different mindset, you connect to different people. So it's a pretty tricky the way that the situation works. And if you're a person that develops new ideas, then you have a totally independent mindset, and then you have to have word of mouth to spread it, and then you get a certain group of people with that mindset, and then the ideas start circulating outwardly, and you become part of the wiring of the planet. There's a certain wiring of the planet Earth, and we want it to be wired closer to the truth. A lot of the ideas and stuff that are circulating spiritually aren't the best, but they keep evolving, and we want it to evolve further. We want the collective nervous system of the planet to evolve to a higher level. We want the mindset of the planet to move to a higher level. A lot of things grow first when ideas are developed. The ideas come first, and then things can move on from there.
Passion, compassion, empathy.
So I say these things, and you just have to see how they resonate, and you have to, figure out, because a lot of things out there spiritually are things that you make an assumption that something is true, and then you test it out. It's an intuitive thing. How does it actually work? Well, the spiritual senses have to be developed so that you know to a certain degree intuitively how things work on the spiritual level. It's not science. It's the spiritual is so different, and that's where my training comes in. I keep pushing. You have to train yourself spiritually,
really
so you can
and physically. It's so important.
I mean, of course, everybody wants to say these ideas are mine alone, but so much of the time, there's very few people that have ideas that are theirs alone. And when you go into on the universal level, there's no ideas that are there alone on the universal level. But on this planet, you can definitely bring new ideas to this planet, because this planet's not doing that well spiritually. It could certainly grow a lot further, where the collective mindset is at.
Yes, exactly. Subscribe. Follow us, join us, connect with us.
Yeah, this is for Positive Vibes Enterprise. The subject today was connection, disconnection. And when you're talking about the internet or all kinds of computers, that's the way it tends to work. It's either on or off. That's the way the computers are designed, and that's how the mind is designed to connect and to disconnect, and hopefully connect to higher truth and disconnect from less effective, less developed ways of seeing things. Yes. So thank you very much for watching, and please spread the word, and that has to do with making new connections for us. And we need it, because we're basically putting out more innovative type spiritual ideas than are out there. We seriously believe that, so we want to get it to other people. And
these topics are up for grabs. Talk over with your friends and share the videos. And
we have so many videos right now, and we're not doing it just to watch ourselves and say, "Oh, we're so wonderful." We want other people to see value.
Spark up the topics. Let's get it going. Thank you, everybody.
See you.